All right, we'd like to welcome our champion and congratulations to Xander Schauffele, 2022 Travelers Championship. Exciting finish, Xander. Just a couple of bullets before we ask you a question or two. Sixth PGA Tour win, second this season, number 8 in the FedEx Cup, first individual title in, 4 or 5 years? So congratulations.
Don't remind me.
Congratulations. I think the question that I wanted to ask you was, waiting on that 18th tee, watching all that unfold in front of you. Just talk about that a little bit and how that played out.
Yeah, my mind was telling me hit a good drive, and you're gonna have a sand wedge or lob wedge in there, and a really good look at birdie with that pin kind of on the slope. And then to sit there and sort of watch sort of what happened was a bit of a shock, obviously, and I really had to try and focus on the task at hand, and sitting there waiting, sort of watching, not really knowing what's going on, but kind of having an idea is a strange thing. So I was happy to just hit that tee shot straight down the fairway.
As I mentioned, it's the first individual title in a few years. You've won the Olympics, you won a team event with your good friend Patrick. Just what does this mean to you now to sort of move on and win that individual title that you've been looking for?
Yeah, it feels really good. It's just, everyone talks about how hard it is, and I only had the Olympics to sort of fall back on, having a lead and kind of closing it. I've never done it on the PGA Tour, so it was nice to sort of, to do it in Japan and then sort of have that experience. Really tapped into that today.
All right, we'll take some questions. If you have one, raise your hand and we'll get a microphone right in the front here, if you could. Thank you. Go ahead, Carl.
Xander, it seems like you have to really stay focused and stay in the moment for what you experienced today, not only watching the putt on 17, but the drive on 18. Has that always been a strength of yours, or is that something that's developed as you become more experienced?
I think it's probably something that's been more developed. I haven't really had a hard time focusing growing up. My wife tells me I'm the worst multitasker on the planet, so that usually bodes well if you can only focus on one thing. And I think in the past when I've had 54-hole leads or close to the lead, my Sundays feel really fast, and I kind of, sitting back in the hotel or at a house on Sunday, sort of thinking what happened today. And so this week I really wanted to stay present and really just focus on sort of the task at hand, which was each and every shot. And I told Austin to sort of keep me accountable, hold me accountable on the first hole walking up there, and he did a really great job, and both of us were pretty much dialed in from the first hole.
Xander, can you talk about the pressure after that? On the 17th, you had the lead pretty much the whole time, but it started to shrink, and you see him take the lead on 17. Can you just talk about that and the ability to come back from that?
No, being out here, I've been out here long enough. This is my 6th year on tour, and you just know that no one's going to give it to you. Not out here on the PGA Tour. No one's going to hand you a win, and I was very aware of that, and ready to birdie the last, and I thought that was going to be to get in the playoffs. So just lucky it was to make me on top.
Questions? We'll go to Cameron right behind. Yep. Thank you.
Xander, you won the Olympic gold medal. You won with Patrick. The whole sort of he hasn't won an individual stroke play event since the century, etc. How much did that kind of wear on you? And your caddy was saying that sort of earlier this season you were kind of like, we got to win. We got to get a win here. Can you describe that moment?
Yeah, I like to talk to my team a lot about how I'm feeling week to week, and it's been a year where my stats have been very solid and just haven't really, put in 4 good rounds of golf. And so I think subconsciously or without myself even really knowing, I was getting a little impatient. And this week I was just trying to be as self-aware as possible, to just stay as patient as possible, and just realize that I put the work in, and if I can just sort of do what I've been doing and just focus a little bit more throughout the day, that it'll pay off in a big way, and fortunately it did.
Good job.
Xander, when you're watching an 18 tee, did it make you more focused, or did you have the same game plan in mind, or did it change your game plan once you saw what he was doing?
I think I focused a little bit more. I was expecting him to par birdie. You know what I mean? He hits it a really long way, so if he hit it down the fairway, he would have had a lob wedge in as well. And I just knew that the 18th hole is, even though it's downwind, that left bunker is dangerous, as we saw, and the right rough is probably the thickest on the property. So if for whatever reason you don't hit a great tee shot there, you're trying to play for par, and with the greens being firm and crusty, you just never know what can happen. And so I really just tried to worry about myself and the task at hand, and I think Austin and I did a really good job of that.
Questions? We'll go Cameron again.
Where do you go from here? Like, I guess you go over to Scotland. You play in the Open Championship. What are your goals the remainder of this season?
I think to win more. But I really think this is like in a small way. This is a big win for me mentally, just because I sort of had to check myself. You know what I mean? When you've been out here and things are kind of going easy, you just expect to play well all the time, and sometimes it's good to take a step back. And I thought I did that this week. And like I said, it just, I don't know if that's the reason I won, but it definitely made me feel more comfortable and helped my process throughout the week.
Xander, broadcast showed you on 18T. It looked like you had just a look in your eye, like you were ready to go win this thing. Do you have like a zone or a place that you go to? We've heard Tiger talk about that when he's coming down the stretch. Do you have a place in your mind that you go mentally when you have to close something out like that?
You just lock in. I don't really know how to describe it, but yeah, it sort of, after I saw what happened, I knew that there's a chance par would win and birdie for sure. So I had to hit the fairway, and so I was just so locked in that moment to hit that fairway and swing as hard as I could off that tee, and nothing else really mattered. So I'm not really sure how to answer that.
Okay, we'll go to Max right here.
Xander, you've experienced some heartbreak, I'm sure, throughout the many, many years that you've played golf, whether it's at the amateur game or on the PGA Tour. With what happened to Sahith on 18, what maybe advice would you have for him, in someone who is very early on to his PGA Tour career, and, what happened to him on 18?
Yeah, I mean, Sahith and Carl, they're two great guys. They're a great team, and he was right there again today and then in Arizona. So he knows he can play to a level that will win out here on tour, and that's sort of, I think, I don't need to tell him anything. I think he just needs to keep knocking that door until he breaks that thing down.
Cameron again.
Back over here. Do you think you might reduce the number of minutes you give yourself before a tee time, given what happened on Thursday?
I don't know. That was just an honest mistake. Austin was not very happy with me, considering the fact that he sat there for 45 minutes by himself on the putting green, kind of looking like an idiot. So it's funny to joke about it now, but I'll probably stick to my hour before versus 30 minutes.
Go back to Kyle.
Xander, what does it say about the young guys on this tour? You had Sahith, as you mentioned, and you have an amateur finishes fourth here. What does that say about those young guys coming up?
Yeah. There's been a lot of talk about where golf is right now. Some can say the fracturing of our game, but the future's bright. And I feel like an old guy. I'm 28 years old, and I feel like I'm one of the old guys out here on tour. Unfortunately, I got all these young guys winning around me that it just motivates me to push harder and be better. So, thanks to them.
Anything further for Xander? Okay. If we don't, my final question would be: how do you plan to celebrate tonight? You going to fill that with something, or?
No, it's actually a happy anniversary. It's my 1-year anniversary with my wife, so I'm gonna go try and get home and see my wife.
We'll try not to keep you too much longer.
Hey, thank you.
Appreciate it. Congratulations.